Good afternoon, everyone. This is Jeff Rumberg. I'm a managing partner with MetricNet, and I will be your host for today's information briefing on the IT Service and Support Benchmark for Higher Education. I want to welcome all of you and thank you for joining in our briefing today. Before we get started, I have just a few administrative announcements to make. We have quite a few people on the call today, so during the briefing, all of you will be in listen-only mode. However, if you have any questions during the presentation, you can type them in the dialog box that appears in the lower right corner of your screen, and I will answer those questions at the conclusion of the presentation. This briefing will run about 40 to 45 minutes with Q&A, so for those who have other commitments later in the day, I should be wrapped up by about 2:45 p.m. Eastern Time in the United States. Some of you on the call today have worked with MetricNet in the past, and many of you have been to our website, attended one of our webcasts, or seen MetricNet present at one of the industry forums, such as HDI or Fusion. But for those who are not familiar with MetricNet, let me give you just a brief introduction. Our core business is benchmarking. We perform benchmarks for a variety of different industries and functional areas. My role in the company is to manage the service desk, desktop support, and call center benchmarks and client relationships for MetricNet. We've been at this for a long time now. For the last 27 years, MetricNet and its predecessor companies, which include Gartner, Metagroup, and the Verity Group, which is the first company that I ran, have completed nearly 4,000 IT service and support benchmarks. As a result, we have the largest database of IT performance, process, and performance indicators in the industry. It's a global database that covers more than 40 countries. We track more than 30 KPIs for the service desk and more than 30 KPIs for desktop support, everything from cost per ticket to customer satisfaction. We have also identified and empirically observed and created a taxonomy of nearly 80 industry best practices that we consistently find with those IT service and support organizations that are performing exceptionally well. Now, our clients are companies and institutions of higher learning that you're likely familiar with. In fact, more than half of the Fortune 500 use MetricNet benchmarks, and higher education is one of our strongest vertical markets. Let's shift gears now and talk specifically about the IT Service and Support Benchmark for Higher Education. When we launched this benchmark, the first question was, well, why are you doing a benchmark that is specific to higher education? And the answer is twofold. The first is that the demand is there. We get requests almost every day from institutions of higher learning to perform a service desk or a desktop support benchmark for them. Also, when we look at our website traffic and when we look at the online forms that are completed, requests for quotation, for example, again, some of the strongest demand comes from higher education. But the reason we chose to focus on this vertical market and the reason we chose to syndicate a benchmark for higher education is not just because the demand is large, but also because there are some unique characteristics to delivering service and support in higher education. Many of you run a student support model, and by that I mean that you are staffed at least partially or in some cases completely with students. Now, this presents a number of challenges. As you know, in that environment, the turnover can be quite high. There are also training issues and scheduling issues associated with a student support model, but many of you face this challenge. Secondly, when you look at the number of technologies that you have to support for your students, your faculty, and your staff, the number of technologies that are supported, the range of technologies that are supported is greater in this vertical market than in just about any other vertical market. Your customers tend to be distributed broadly, at least across a campus, but oftentimes across a much larger geographic area, and that creates particular challenges. And in this environment, service levels are more crucial than they are in just about any other vertical market. And so we decided that what we would do is create a syndicated group of higher education institutions and conduct a benchmark. And in so doing, we're able to drive down the cost of that benchmark fairly substantially because we gain economies of scale when we get a large number of institutions participating in a vertical benchmark like this. Now, the overall project timeline is shown here on page 9. We're currently in the sign-up and registration phase. That includes the months of May, June, and July of 2016. Now, if you register for this benchmark prior to July 1st, 2016, you will get a 50% discount on your benchmarking fees. Now, your benchmarking data will be due to MetricNet by July 31st, 2016. I'll talk more about data collection in a little bit, but right now I just want to give you kind of the overview of the project timeline. During the month of August, MetricNet will produce a separate benchmarking report for each institution of higher learning, each university, community college, trade school, what have you. We will produce a unique benchmarking report for each participant in this benchmark, and then during the month of September, we will present those results to each of the organizations that participate in the benchmark. Now, the benchmarking process includes the 6 modules that are summarized here on page 10. The first module involves data collection, and then modules 2, 3, and 4 are done simultaneously. Module 2 is to conduct the benchmarking gap analysis. Module 3 is to develop a balanced scorecard for each participant in this benchmark. Module 4 is to conduct a process maturity assessment for each organization that participates in this benchmark. Once we've completed modules 2, 3, and 4, we develop a unique and specific set of recommendations for each organization that participates in this benchmark. And then finally, we will schedule a time, as I mentioned on the last slide, during the month of September 2016 to present the results of your benchmark. Let's drill down on each one of these modules of the benchmark, starting with the baselining and the data collection. First thing we're going to do is schedule a kickoff meeting with your organization. The point of the kickoff meeting is to introduce MetricNet to your organization, your support organization. We'll discuss the project schedule. We will provide access to our online data collection portal and answer any questions that you have about the benchmark. Now, I want to be clear that this is a meeting just for your organization. We're not going to do a mass kickoff meeting with all participants in this benchmark. We will schedule an individual meeting with each organization that participates in the benchmark. We will then provide you with a link to our online secure data collection portal. I've got a snapshot of that data collection portal here. It looks very much like an Excel spreadsheet. And essentially what you will do is complete the data collection questionnaire to the best of your ability. Now, typically what we hear is that the time required to complete the data collection process is about 6 to 10 hours. So it's not an insignificant amount of time, but it's also not something that's going to keep you tied up for days and days, let alone weeks and weeks. Now, once we have collected all of the benchmarking data that is submitted by the participating companies, we enter into modules 2, 3, and 4, the benchmark, the scorecard development, and the process maturity assessment. Now, many of you have participated in benchmarking before. I know this because I recognize a lot of the names on today's call. But real briefly, benchmarking involves comparing your service and support performance, roughly 25 to 30 KPIs, everything from cost per ticket to first contact resolution rate to call abandonment rate and mean time to resolve and customer satisfaction. We will compare you to every other institution of higher learning in this benchmark. When we identify a performance gap, a positive gap, we want to be able to advise you on how to perpetuate that gap. And when we identify a negative performance gap, we will diagnose the source, the underlying cause of that performance gap, and advise you on how you can close or mitigate that performance gap. You see, given enough time, any organization can achieve world-class performance. The question is, how long is it going to take you to get there? Are you going to get there in months or years, or are you going to get there in days or weeks? Benchmarking enables you to bypass the traditional incremental approach to improvement. It allows you to bypass all the trials and tribulations associated with trial and error improvement, which proceeds at an evolutionary pace. Benchmarking allows you to bypass all that. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. It allows you to build upon the industry's proven best practices and achieve world-class performance, not at an evolutionary pace, but rather at a revolutionary pace. And that's the real power of benchmarking. Now, the service desk metrics that are included in the benchmark are summarized here on page 16. There are 23 KPIs. organized into 6 categories. You can see there are cost metrics, quality metrics, productivity, technician or analyst metrics, service level metrics, and contact or call handling metrics. Now, either insourced or outsourced service desks and desktop support organizations can participate in this benchmark. If you are insourced, we will be looking at your cost per contact and cost per minute of handle time. If you are outsourced, we will look at the price that you pay to your outsourcer. So we'll be looking at a price per contact and a price per minute of handle time. And then first level resolution rate, which is a TCO metric, total cost of ownership metric, is also considered a cost metric. But these are the metrics that we will use for the service desk benchmarks in this syndicate. There are also nearly 30 desktop support benchmarks that we will use in this benchmark. We have cost metrics, once again, service level, productivity, quality, ticket handling, and technician metrics. And then we've got a 7th category of metric known as workload metrics, where we look at the tickets generated per seat per month, the incidents generated per seat per month, service requests per seat per month, and then incidents as a percent of total ticket volume. So you can expect to be benchmarked very comprehensively, whether you have a service desk, a desktop support organization, or some hybrid or some combination of those two that is being benchmarked. We look at a whole range of different KPIs so that we can get a 360-degree view of your support organization. This enables us not only to identify both negative and positive performance gaps, but it enables us to diagnose the underlying drivers of those performance gaps and hence develop prescriptive actions that are designed to help you perpetuate the positive improvement and mitigate or eliminate the negative performance gaps. Now, on the next few pages, I'm going to show you some sample output from the benchmarking report. Now, the overall report is in excess of 150 slides. Now, the sheer number of slides shouldn't be important, but the reason I'm saying this is because I want you to know that this is not a 10 or 15 or 20-page report. This is an extremely comprehensive report, and it includes 7 different sections. I'll show those to you a little bit later in the presentation. It is very comprehensive. It includes raw data. It includes methodology. It includes numerous different types of comparison charts. It includes a comprehensive process assessment, gap analysis, and conclusions and recommendations. And what I want to do is just share with you what some of that output looks like. For those who are interested, you can go to the landing page on our website for the Service and Support Benchmark for Higher Education and take a look at the full sample benchmarking report. On this particular chart, you see the 6 categories of metrics listed down the left-hand column here, same 6 categories that were listed here on page 16. Then we have the 23 key performance indicators in the second column from the left, and then this is sample data only. Your organization's data would be listed in the third column from the left, and then for the others that are in this syndicate, we expect 30-plus organizations to participate. We would show the average for each KPI, the arithmetic minimum, the arithmetic median, meaning the midpoint of the distribution, and then the arithmetic maximum for each of the participants in this benchmark. So this is a very data-rich slide. Some organizations like this, but it does take a while to absorb all of this information. Now, rest assured, if this is information overload or you don't like looking at tabular data, we do present the same information in quartile format. You can see here that just as a sample output page in the benchmarking report, we will show the cost metrics, the productivity metrics, the service level, quality, technician metrics, and contact handling metrics, and then show for each one of the KPIs in the benchmark which quartile you fall in. The first quartile is always the top performing quartile. The fourth quartile is always the bottom performing quartile. A dark blue cell is an indication of which quartile you operate in for a particular key performance indicators. We will also provide bar chart output for every single metric in the benchmark. In this particular case, we're looking at customer satisfaction. On these bar charts, your organization will always be shown as the orange bar. The red dashed line going across the horizontal plane here represents the average for this particular peer group. The low performer, 65.2%, is organization number 6. The high performer, 97.9%, is organization number 12. So you will receive a bar chart, a complete distribution of data for every KPI in the benchmark. Some organizations relate very well to this visual output and relate very well to the quartiles. Others relate a little bit more effectively to the tabular output. But we want to provide your data in a variety of formats so that you can visualize it from different perspectives: tabular, quartile, bar charts, and we'll even put you on a two-dimensional chart that shows cost per ticket versus customer satisfaction. Now, the data points that are shown here are organized into 4 quadrants. The upper right quadrant is where you want to operate. This is where your costs are low and your quality is high. This is kind of the holy grail of running a service and support organization, is to have low cost and high quality. Now, if you're in the upper left-hand quadrant, it says that your quality is good, but your costs are also high. And our recommendations are in part going to be oriented towards helping you move to the right on the x-axis so that you can reduce your costs over time. If you're in the lower right-hand quadrant, it says that your costs are low, but your quality is also low. And our recommendations are going to, at least in part, discuss how you can move up the quality curve and improve the quality of service that you deliver. If you're in the lower left quadrant, you have the worst of all worlds because your costs are high and your quality is low. And our recommendations will be oriented towards helping you move up and to the right on this chart, that is, reduce your costs and improve the quality of service over time. Now, the vertical bisector on this chart represents the average cost per ticket for this set of data points, the white diamonds. The horizontal bisector on this chart represents the average customer satisfaction for this set of data points, and this is what allows us to organize this into 4 separate quadrants. Now, there's a lot of moving parts in a service and support organization. You just saw the 23 KPIs for the service desk and the nearly 30 KPIs we're going to use for the desktop support benchmark. But it's sometimes difficult to answer the question, how are we performing overall, and how are we trending? Are we better off this month than we were last month? Are we better off this year than we were last year? Well, the Balanced Scorecard answers that question for you. What it does is it aggregates and rolls together and normalizes the most important key performance indicators for the service desk or for the desktop support organization, depending upon what you're benchmarking, and it produces a single overall measure of your performance on a range of 0 to 100%. In this particular case, you can see that we have 6 metrics in our service desk Balanced Scorecard. We have cost per contact, customer satisfaction, which is a quality metric. First metric is a cost metric. Third metric, utilization, is a productivity metric, which drives your cost. First contact resolution rate, an effectiveness metric, which drives customer satisfaction. We have job satisfaction, which turns out to be a fairly important secondary driver of almost every other metric in service and support. And then we have a service level metric, which will either be average speed of answer or the percentage of calls answered in 30 seconds. The next thing we do is we weight each metric according to its relative importance. You can see that we have overweighted cost and customer satisfaction. These are known as the foundation metrics. These are the 2 most important metrics in any benchmark. So they get 25% each, and then we put 15% weighting each on utilization and first contact resolution rate, and then a 10% weighting each on job satisfaction and the service level metric. Then in the third and fourth columns from the left, we show for the entire group of higher education institutions that participate in this benchmark, we show the worst performer and the best performance. So we have the range here, worst case to best case, in the third and fourth columns from the left. We will then put your data in the third column from the right. This would be your actual performance data, and we would calculate a metric score using this interpolation formula. We take the worst case, we subtract your actual performance. That becomes the numerator of the ratio. The denominator of the ratio is worst case minus best case, or the range. And the metric score will range from 0 to 100%. If you have 100% on the metric score, it means you have the best performance in the benchmark. If you have 0% on the metric score, it means you have the worst performance in the benchmark. So the metric scores will range from 0 to 100%. The higher they are, the better you're performing. Finally, we multiply each metric score by its associated weighting to come up with a balanced score for each of the 6 metrics in the scorecard. And when we add those together, we come up with a single overall measure of your performance. Now, when we run hundreds of support organizations through this algorithm, we end up with a nice normal distribution, a bell-shaped curve centered right above 50%, with tails running off to the right above 60% and tails running off to the left below 40%. Now what we've done here is we've taken a disparate set of metrics, some with units of dollars, some with units of percent, and we've normalized them to create a single overall measure of performance that allows us to compare you to every other service desk or desktop support organization in this benchmark. Once again, the orange bar would always represent your performance, and then the numbers down here represent the other institutions of higher learning that are participating in this benchmark. We don't disclose their names to you. You will know which data is yours, but you will not know which data belongs to each of the other institutions of higher learning. That's part of the deal when we do this benchmark, is that we anonymize the data. So you can see how you perform here on the balanced scorecard. This is an extremely powerful and one of the most important slides in the overall presentation deck, because this is where you can see how you perform in the aggregate relative to the other service desks or desktop support organizations in this benchmark. It turns out that a score of 68.7%, which we calculated here on the prior page, is actually a very good score. You can see that in this particular set of data, it was the second place score overall. Now the scorecard also enables you to track and trend your performance over time. One of the deliverables you will receive as part of this benchmark will be the Excel spreadsheet with all the logic built into it for your balanced scorecard, so that if you choose to do so, you can update your scorecard monthly or quarterly and see which direction you are trending in. Clearly, if you have a trend like this, that's a good thing because it says that you are improving over time. The blue bars here represent the monthly balanced scorecard, and the purple background represents the trailing 12-month average. And so the balanced scorecard does a lot of things for you. It gives you a single overall measure of your performance that you can use to compare to others in this benchmark and that you can use to measure your aggregate performance over time. Now, simultaneous with that, there is a process self-assessment that we will engage in as part of this benchmark. The reason we do that is because process drives performance. Let me say that again because it is a critically important concept in service management. Process drives performance, and the more mature your processes are, the better your performance is going to be. So if you are trying to improve your performance on cost or quality or cycle time or any other metric, the only way to do that is to modify, improve, adopt, or adapt processes so that you get a better outcome. So process and performance are two sides of the same coin, and the more mature your processes are, the better you can expect your performance to be. Now, our best practices model includes 6 key components. We look at strategy, which is all about defining your charter and mission. We look at human resource management. We look at ticket handling processes and procedures. We look at your technology. We look at the discipline of performance measurement and management. And we look at an area called stakeholder communication. Now, this is a self-assessment, but we validate it with the results of your balanced scorecard. And essentially the way this works is that you will be provided with a questionnaire. Again, this is an online questionnaire that has 72 questions in it. And you are going to rank yourself on a scale of 1 to 5 for each of those 72 questions. If you know nothing about the question or the best practice we are asking about, you would rank yourself a 1 at the opposite extreme. If you are aware of the best practice and applying it in what you believe to be a world-class fashion, you would rank yourself a 5. And so this is a sample output page for the strategy portion of the best practices maturity assessment. The first question here says, the service desk has a well-defined mission, vision, and strategy. The vision and strategy are well documented and communicated to key stakeholders in the organization. There are 72 questions like this, again, addressing the 6 areas shown here on page 27. You're going to rank yourself on a scale of 1 to 5 using this ranking that I just showed you here on page 28 so that we at MetricNet can get a feel for the overall maturity of each of the 6 areas. How mature is your service and support strategy? How mature are you in managing human resources over the life cycle? How mature are your ticket handling processes, your technology, your discipline of performance measurement and management, and your stakeholder communication? So you will complete this process self-assessment, and we will compare you to everyone else in the benchmark. Here are the 6 key areas we look at along the x-axis here. The blue bar would represent your performance on average, scale of 1 to 5 for each of the 6 areas. The purple bar represents the peer group performance. So you can see where you are underperforming. In this particular case, this organization underperformed slightly on strategy, but overperformed quite a bit in human resource management, performance measurement, and in stakeholder communication. We also take your overall score. You can score as many as 360 points. That is 72 questions times 5 possible points per question would get you to 360. No one's ever gotten that high of score. But we consider a world-class process maturity to be an average score of 4 or higher. So 4 times 72 gets you to 288. That's what this green dashed line is here. We've got about 150 data points represented on this particular chart. And those that have a score of 288 or higher are considered to be world-class in their process maturity. For this group of roughly 150 support organizations, the average score was 195.7. That's what this red dashed line is. For our hypothetical XYZ university, their score was 262. You can see their orange dashed bar here. So we will conduct a process self-assessment as part of the overall benchmark because, again, process drives performance, and we will show you the data that correlates process maturity to your balanced score. We went through the balanced score a few moments ago. This particular chart shows the process maturity or the process assessment score on the x-axis, higher scores going off to the right, and then the y-axis shows the balanced score. The reason we put the process assessment score on the x-axis is because the x-axis is known as the independent variable. You have control over your processes. You have control over their maturity. You have control over which processes you implement and how you manage them. So that is an independent variable. The outcome is the dependent variable or the balanced score. And you can see here when you look at the data points, they move up and to the right. If I drew a regression line on this, you would see that the regression line has an upward right-hand slope. It moves up and to the right, which is another way of saying that the higher your process maturity, that is, the more further right you go on the x-axis, the higher your balanced score is going to be. And we want to be able to illustrate that for you graphically with the output of your process self-assessment as well as the output of your balanced scorecard. Now, once we've completed your scorecard and we've scored you on your process maturity assessment and we've done the benchmark and the gap analysis, we're going to develop a set of recommendations for your organization. And not surprisingly, those recommendations fall into the same 5 categories as we saw on our best practices process assessment. There are going to be recommendations related to your service and support strategy, your human resource management, your ticket handling processes and procedures, your technology, your performance measurement and management, and your stakeholder communication. We will also establish performance goals, not for every single metric, but for those metrics where you are either behind the peer group average or if there is a metric that you are not tracking. Let's say, for example, that you are not tracking technician or agent job satisfaction. We would show an NA in this column, and then we would establish a performance target for you. The performance targets we establish, we believe, are realistic to achieve within a 3 to 6 month time frame, so 90 to 120 days. And we also run a pro forma to show you how your balanced scorecard will improve, assuming that you meet these performance targets. Now, in this particular case, this organization already had a very good balanced score, so the targets we established for them only improved their service desk balance score by about 2 percentage points. So they're going from strong to stronger. But for organizations that are down in the 50s or 40s or 30s on their balanced scorecard, typically the target performance values will move your scorecard up into the 60 to 70 percentile range. So establishing these performance targets is a key output that you will receive as part of the benchmark. Finally, what we do is we document the entire benchmark, the methodology, the data, the comparison, the gap analysis, the process assessment, and the conclusions and recommendations. We document it in a presentation style report, much like the report that we're going through now. Now, as I mentioned earlier, this is a very, very comprehensive report, and it is customized for your service desk. We're not going to create one report for for the whole benchmark, we are going to create 30+ reports, one for each of the institutions of higher learning that participate in this particular benchmark. What we will then do is schedule a presentation time, ideally during the month of September, so that we can present the results of your benchmark and answer any questions you have about the benchmark, the methodology, the data, the comparison, the process assessment, the balanced scorecard, the recommendations, or anything else that you might have questions about. This presentation is done through GoToMeeting. So it's a virtual presentation where we go through all the slides in your report, and as I said, we answer questions and present everything from the data to the methodology to the conclusions and recommendations. Now, key deliverables that you will receive over the course of this project include the data collection questionnaires. It's actually online that you submit your data. The project schedule, the project kickoff meeting, a separate meeting for each company that participates in the benchmark. You will receive a comprehensive benchmarking report that contains the 7 sections you see here, starting with an overview of the project and the objectives for the project, some background on how the industry of service and support is evolving and becoming more strategic. We then summarize your benchmark in one section. We provide the balanced scorecard, the process maturity assessment, our conclusions and recommendations, and then the comprehensive data section, which includes the bar charts for every single metric in the benchmark, as well as definitions for every single metric in the benchmark, will be included down here in this final section of the report. Then we schedule a presentation of results, and we go through your entire benchmarking report in a GoToMeeting. Typically, that meeting lasts about at least 60 minutes, but generally no more than 90 minutes. The fees for the project are $5,000 if you sign up by July 1st. That's for one service desk or one desktop support group. If you have 2 service desks or 2 desktop support groups or one of each, the fee is $7,500. And if you have more than 2 support organizations, we have a fee schedule that we can provide to you, but needless to say, discounts will apply for that as well. After July 1st, the fees go up. They double to $10,000 for one benchmark and $15,000 for 2 benchmarks. So in terms of next steps, if you have additional questions, you can probably find answers on our higher education benchmark webpage. You can get there with this link, and by the way, we will send everyone on today's briefing, we will send you this presentation deck. We have a downloadable FAQ and sample deliverables on the webpage for the higher ed benchmark. If you have questions, you can email us at info@metricnet.com. And lastly, we want your business. We're asking you to sign up. It's a simple process. You'll click this link. It'll take you right to a sign-up form, and you can pay right online with a credit card. If you would rather have us invoice you, we can do that as well. So you have a couple of different options there as far as how you pay for the benchmark. Once again, I'd like to summarize the timeline. We're in the sign-up and registration phase. That goes May, June, and July of 2016. The half-price discount will end on July 1st, so please sign up before July 1st to get the 50% discount. The data collection is due on July 31st. And by the way, you can sign up right until July 31st, but you do have to get your data to us on July 31st. It doesn't take that long to complete the online data collection questionnaire, so we will accept sign-ups right up and through July 31st. But for those who do sign up a little bit later during the month of July or even at the end of July, we still require that you have your data submitted by the last day of July, July 31st, 2016. We will spend the month of August putting together each of the individual benchmarking reports, and then the month of September, we will present the results of each of the individual benchmarks. So at this point, I'm going to open up to question and answer. But before I do that, let me just point out that if you need to reach MetricNet, you can call us in the United States at this phone number, 703-992-8160, or you can email us at info@metricnet.com. Now, I'm going to go through the questions that have been typed in. If you have a question that you have not typed in, please do so. Let me open up the questions now. Okay. First question, who can participate in MetricNet's IT service and support benchmark for higher education? The answer is any organization that operates a service desk or a desktop support group or a hybrid service desk desktop support group in higher education is allowed to participate in the benchmark. So this includes service desks and desktop support groups of all sizes and from all geographies, both in-sourced and outsourced. Okay, next question here. What's the timeline for the benchmark? Okay, I just showed that, but I'll go back to it. The Service Support Benchmark for higher education is now active, and we are accepting subscriptions or signups, I should say. Key dates are summarized below. May through July is the sign-up period. The half-price discount ends on July 1st. The data is due on July 31st. August is when we produce all the benchmarking reports, and September is when we present all of the benchmarking reports. Next question, what will I receive by participating in MetricNet's Service and Support Benchmark for higher education? I just went through that as well, but let me show that to you again. You're going to get the project schedule, the data collection questionnaire, the project kickoff meeting, the comprehensive benchmarking report organized into the sections that you can see here. You're going to be receiving a tabular summary of performance gaps for all KPIs, quartile performance charts for each KPI in the benchmark. You're going to get a ranking on a two-dimensional efficiency versus effectiveness matrix as part of the report, a customized balance scorecard, conclusions and recommendations, and then detailed benchmarking comparison bar charts, and a live presentation of results and Q&A through GoToMeeting. Now, the project report is produced in Microsoft PowerPoint and converted to Adobe PDF for distribution. And the report's suitable for internal presentations to key stakeholders in your company who are interested in the results of the benchmark. Okay, next question. How does the data collection process work? Well, each participating service desk or desktop support group will be asked to provide their data in an online data collection portal. MetricNet is available to provide guidance and advice on the data collection effort and to answer any questions that you might have during the data collection process. More importantly, the completed data collection questionnaire will be reviewed with you to ensure its accuracy and to discuss any data that appears to be inaccurate or inconsistent. Okay, the next question says, how long does it take to prepare and submit my benchmarking data? Well, the time required to gather, assemble, and submit your service desk or desktop support data really depends upon the accessibility of your data and the experience level of the person responsible for gathering and submitting your service desk data or your desktop support data. Now, we strongly suggest that data collection be assigned to someone in your organization who's very familiar with your service desk or desktop support and who has access to all of the relevant service desk or desktop support reports and data sources. The time required for you to gather and submit your data is going to vary depending upon the factors that I just referenced. Those who have participated in our benchmarks in the past have reported that it takes anywhere from 6 to 10 hours to complete the data collection worksheet. So it's not an insignificant amount of time, but it's also not something that will keep you tied up for days and days, let alone weeks and weeks. Next question is, what is the date for submitting the benchmarking data? I just covered that. The due date for the benchmarking data is July 31st, 2016. And then looks like there's one more question. If you have any more questions, please type them in now. What are the fees to participate in the benchmark? I just showed that. The fees are $5,000 for one benchmark and $7,500 for two benchmarks, provided that you register by July 1st, 2016. After July 1st, the participation fees will double to $10,000 for one benchmark and $15,000 for two benchmarks. Okay, we have addressed all of the questions that have been typed in. I want to encourage you again to please reach out to MetricNet if you have any additional questions or comments. And lastly, I just want to thank you for participating in our briefing today. I hope that each of you will make an affirmative decision to participate in MetricNet's IT Service and Support Benchmark for higher education. This concludes our information briefing. Thank you once again. Goodbye now. This concludes our briefing.